Please help me welcome the Republican nominee for Texas Governor, Greg Abbott.
Thank you. Thank y'all very much. Well, thank y'all so much for that warm welcome and grace. Thank you for your introduction. It's great to be here to get to visit with you about the future of education here in the state of Texas. As I begin my remarks here in this afternoon session, it kind of dawns on me about the reality, and that is you've had a number of speakers up here already, and here we are late in the afternoon, and I think I may be the very last speaker before you go to your next session of camp. And so I'm thinking about adopting a lesson that I learned when I served on the Texas Supreme Court before I became Attorney General. One thing that Supreme Court justices do is they travel around the state of Texas providing continuing legal education seminars. And I was speaking at one to a room about this size. And I came up through the back doors of the room, and I was the next speaker. I kind of wanted to get a feel how things were going. So I pulled up alongside a lawyer, and I asked him how things were going. He said, well, things are going pretty good so far, but our next speaker is one of those long-winded judges, and you know how that goes. I said, well, do you have any idea who I am? He said, no, I don't have a clue. I said, well, I'm Judge Greg Abbott, and I'm that next speaker you're talking about. Well, you could tell he was embarrassed, but you could tell he was a quick-witted lawyer because he looked back at me and he said, well, do you have any idea who I am? I said, no, I don't have a clue. He said, great, I'm out of here. And, well, I know you probably want to be out of here and go on to your next level. Let me just address a few things. One, for those of you who have not heard before, I know some of you may be curious about the fact that you may be realizing for the first time that the Attorney General of Texas is in a wheelchair. And I'll explain to you why. When I went to Duncanville High School and graduated from there, I ran track, but obviously no more. Because after graduating from Vanderbilt Law School and moving to Houston where I had taken a job, one day I went out for a run, something that I did every single day. But on this day, when I was out running, a huge oak tree crashed down onto my back, fracturing my vertebrae into my spinal cord, leaving me immediately and permanently paralyzed. And obviously I can tell by your reaction, some of you are wondering, how slow is that guy jogging to get hit by a falling tree? I really bring this story up to put, if you would, a framework or context about what it is that you deal with every single day. What it is and why it is that we are gathered here today. Because what I learned in the aftermath of my accident and piecing my life back together and going on to become a judge, a Supreme Court justice, and now the Attorney General, I learned that our lives are not defined by the way in which we are challenged. Instead, we get to define our lives by the way that we respond to the challenges we face. Now, that is quite literally true of what you, the classroom teachers, deal with every single day in the classroom. But in the context of what we're talking about today, that is so true with where we are in our education system in Texas. I think we face challenges. But I think that the future of Texas cannot and should not be defined by those challenges. Instead, the future of Texas and the future of schools and education in this state must be defined by the way that we respond to the challenges we face. Now, I know that those of you who work every single day in the classroom educating our children, I know firsthand the commitment you have to doing your jobs. I know that in part from being a student of public school teachers in Longview, Texas for elementary school, and Duncanville, Texas for junior high and high school. But I also know it firsthand because my wife of 32 years has been both a teacher in the classroom and a principal. And I know that there are some people who don't have a clue what they are talking about when they think or talk as though teachers don't work hard. I've seen what it's like when my wife would get up early in the morning, go into the classroom, work hard all day long, come home, be on the telephone for hours, talking to parents, talking to teachers, sometimes talking to students, talking to administrators. And then only after all that is done, grading homework assignments, and then preparing the lesson for the following day, only to go through it all again the next day. It is a challenging process, one that does require your commitment. Now, some of you actually know my wife. My wife is Cecilia Abbott, and in addition to being a teacher and a principal, she also served on the State Board for Educator Certification. But I got to tell you, most of all these days, I see the commitment of teachers through my eyes as a parent of a teenage daughter who is in high school. And I see the way that her life is transformed by her teachers. And I know that what you do is not just a job. It's a genuine calling, a calling that does transform children's lives, and a calling that improves the future of this state. Now, the good news is that your hard work is making strides and helping Texas to show some measured improvement in our education accomplishments in the state. I'll give you one example. A record number of Texas students graduated from high school in the last measured class, marking the 5th consecutive year that Texas has increased the number of students graduating from high school. But despite those gains, I think it's fair to say that Texas is lagging behind where we need to be, certainly where we want to be, in things like reading and math. Well, I've traveled the state over the past few months to learn what we need to do to improve education and to talk to teachers directly to get their input about what needs to be done. And I've heard a lot. Our public education system is too centralized, with one-size-fits-all solutions being pushed down from the top. You have too many unnecessary, unfunded mandates from Austin that tie your hands. And we have too many guidelines from bureaucrats in a faraway world in Washington, D.C., telling you how to maintain discipline in your classroom. I believe that Arnie Duncan is wrong to say that we need to move away from enforcing rules and discipline in our schools. You deserve more respect than what is being shown to you. In Texas, we must uphold your rights as teachers to maintain a safe and disciplined environment for education and ensure that you are able to maintain discipline in your classrooms. We need to reorder our priorities, and that starts with putting more trust in teachers. And my education plan does just that. I have a detailed education plan that spans more than 100 pages. It provides dozens of policy ideas to advance education even further. Just as important, though, as those details, and really even more important than all those details, is the vision behind those details. And here's mine. The way I see it, Texas is a truly exceptional state. Texas ranks #1 in the nation for job creation. We are number one in the nation for energy production. We are number one in the nation for exports. We're number one in the nation for farms. Texas is number one in the nation in so many different ways. I think the time has come to set our sights on a new number one ranking. The time has come to make Texas education number one in the nation. That is the vision behind my plan for Texas. So where and how do we begin this journey to being number one? Well, for me, I've cast it in the terms of where I began my journey on my pathway to education. I think of my first grade teacher at Pinewood Park Elementary in Longview, Texas. Were you at Pinewood Park? Miss Martin was my first grade teacher, and she taught me more than the early stages of the reading process. She began the process of helping me learn. You're a first grade teacher. Every adult should cherish the way I do my report card from first grade. This is the old-fashioned, y'all may not have paper report cards anymore. This is the old-fashioned report card signed by Ruth Martin when I was in first grade, dated 1964, 1965. That was before my birth. But Miss Martin instilled in me the foundation that I needed to go on to a career of learning. That process must be replicated for all students across the state of Texas. To build a solid foundation that will help students advance further and faster as they progress up the grade levels. A process that will help more students stay in school and progress on to higher education. Texas should strive to have every child possible reading and doing math at grade level by the time they finish the third grade. My plan begins building that foundation with additional funding to transform pre-K4 into genuine pre-literacy and pre-numeracy programs. That includes funding for pre-K4 teacher training to ensure the highest level of teacher skills for our youngest learners. My plan will also equip teachers in grades K through 5 with new tools and innovative resources like literacy achievement academies, math and technology achievement academies, and read to learn academies. And we will provide scholarships and stipends to teachers who complete these academies. We will do more than just ask you to improve reading and math. We will give you the tools you need to get that job done. Now, my plan also guides us away from so many mandates from Austin. We all know, and certainly I know firsthand, that teachers and principals and parents know far better how to educate our kids than do a bunch of bureaucrats in the Capitol. And we must stop forcing teachers to teach to so many high-stakes standardized tests. The goal of education isn't to force children to take a 4-hour test. It's to help them get ready for college and to succeed in life. We need to free up your time and unleash your talent to help our children be prepared for the challenges of tomorrow. We must also do more to help our students get better connected with advanced technology. We must prepare our students not only for the next generation of STEM-related jobs at places like Dell and Google and Microsoft and Facebook. But we also must get those students prepared for the high-skilled, technical jobs that are in abundance across the state of Texas. Students and teachers in every school should have more and better access to interactive, individualized digital learning. I've seen how high-quality digital learning places virtual teaching assistants in the classroom working side by side with you to help you accomplish even more. I believe that all schools should have access to what I saw at Jack Elementary in Tyler, Texas. I visited your second grade, and I saw in a classroom setting where a teacher had one-on-one time with a small group of students, while at the very same time a group of students were working on desktop computers and other students were working on iPads. All of them fully engaged, especially those who were engaged with the technology. I saw those who were working on the desktops, and these were second graders. They had two columns. One column over here had all the coins, penny, nickel, dime, and quarter. And the other column was their assignment. They had to have those coins add up to 71 cents and in the fewest possible number of coins arriving at that answer. And I could watch the students use the mouse to move the coins over to try to get it to add up. And I would get to see what would happen if they got it wrong. They would get the feedback telling them either they got the amount wrong or they got the amount right, but they didn't do it in the fewest number of coins. And these students were fully engaged while the teacher was able to have that much needed one-on-one time. Well, I saw the exact same thing happen at a kindergarten class at Sam Houston Elementary in Weslaco. Here I saw a 5-year-old girl with an iTouch, not an iPad, but an iTouch. I'm holding up my hand because you know an iTouch is about that size. And this 5-year-old was scrolling nickels from one side of the screen to a bag in the other. This 5-year-old's assignment was to make those nickels add up to a quarter. Now this 5-year-old was having fun, playing on an iTouch, not realizing she was learning essential math skills, not just what 5 times 5 equals, but learning how you add up to a quarter. But she was learning something maybe even more important than that. She was learning how to use applied technology in her workplace, which was a schoolroom, which is a desperately necessary and needed skill in the workforce when that 5-year-old graduates and moves on. Well, if you do not have access to tools like this, you deserve to get it. And my plan will provide these tools and resources like these to every school in the state of Texas to ensure that you are able to be the best teacher possible. Now, there are countless more policies that I could detail for you from my 100-page plan, but I will spare you the details. If you do want to learn more, you can go to gregabbott.com and click on the Bicentennial Blueprint. There's a reason why I call it the Bicentennial Blueprint. I have a blueprint, not just for education, but for policy issues across the range of issues that Texans face. And it's a blueprint to ensure what Texas will look like for children who are born today when they graduate from college 22 years from now, in 2036. So if you go to that Bicentennial Blueprint and click on the education part, you'll see several plans that will detail more about what I have to offer. But I do want to mention just one last item, because I know the lasting effect this item has on your lives. As governor, I will uphold the constitutional obligation to fund the teacher retirement system. Your retirement fund must be there for you and for those who come after you. And I will be sure to appoint members to the TRS Board of Trustees who will make prudent decisions to maintain and grow your $120 million fund. Well, to close, let me just tell you this. As governor, I want to see Texas and its education system rise to its rightful place of being number one in the nation. To do that, we must set expectations of excellence for teachers and then give you the flexibility and the support you need to achieve those standards. To those who say we can't reach for these high expectations, they should hear about the success stories that teachers share with me. One is about a young girl in 5th grade. This girl was reading at only a 1st grade level. Her writing was unintelligible, and she has some big challenges at home. But one teacher made a difference. This teacher expected more of her. He worked with her on her reading and writing. And in turn, the young student worked hard because the teacher expected her to excel. And she did. And now she has graduated from the University of Houston. And she's landed a job as a teacher, teaching the next generation. We can and we will replicate stories of success like this in every corner of the state. We can and we will build the best education system in America, and it starts with you, the teachers of Texas. Thank you for the role you play. May God bless you all, and may God continue to bless the great state of Texas. Thank you so much.